Hey everybody, 4Gun Guy here. I just wanted to do a review, another ladder test based on using Reloder 16 instead of H4350 for my powder. So why am I switching? Well, the big reason is I can't find H4350 anywhere. I emailed Hodgdon and asked them about the availability in the near term. And the response I got was kind of vague, but it said, many of our popular powders won't be available until later this year. So that means that you may not be able to find H4350 until the summer or even the fall. So I just made a determined effort to switch away from that powder to Reloder 16 after I did a lot of research on it. I wanted to make sure it was temperature insensitive, which it is. And then one of the Hornady sponsors that I talked to at my last match said a lot of guys are using Reloder 16. He uses it, and he used Hornady brass with the new Hornady ELD-A bullet. So anyway, that's why I made the switch. Let's look at some results. So what I did was I put together kind of a ladder box, if you will. I started with some warm-up rounds. Anyway, so what I did is we started off at our 39.8, went up to 41.6. And what I do is I have three rounds on the chrono and 3 rounds without the chrono. So we can get an idea whether or not the chronograph is really doing anything with barrel harmonics or any of that. I looked at all the cases. This was the 39.8 case. Looks like everything is fine there, all the way up to the 41.6 cases, and I saw no pressure signs with these either. Primers look good, everything looks good. So those were the cartridges, and then I just had some here I wanted to go through and fool around with just so I could get the cases shot. So then out of that, this was our results. So when we look at this, we're going to look at the spreadsheet here in a minute. What we see here is, let me see if I can just get a little closer. So this was the 39.8, and you can see pretty good group with the chrono. So these along the top are chrono shots. These along the bottom are non-chrono shots. So no chronograph was attached to the barrel. So you can see here that at 39.8, we had a velocity average feet per second of 2656. We had a 0.875 group. And at the bottom here, with no chrono, that was a 0.5 group. Not bad. The 40.1 charge, 2676 velocity, 0.375 group with the chrono. That's a nice group. And this is a really nice group. That's a 0.25 group without the chrono. 40.4, 2698 velocity, 0.375, and again 0.25. Really nice groups here. Then when we move over to this next group, we've got the 40.7s. Get this camera right here. We have the 40.7. 2716, so our velocity is increasing around, I don't know, anywhere from 26, from like 18 to 20, but you'll see something here in a minute that's interesting. 0.625 chrono, 0.375 no chrono, and that's probably one of the best groups on here. In fact, it is the best group. 41.0, 2743 velocity with a 0.5 and then a 0.875. So that kind of opened up a little bit. I was a little surprised at that. And this could have been a little bit of me too. And then the 41.3, our velocity is 2742 with a 0.375 group with the chrono. But if you look here, I shot 4. That was stupid. I just shot one of the non-chrono groups. So I just did 2 for the non-chrono group down here. But I would say that the one up here would probably be right in line with this. And then finally here at the bottom we have, this was just me warming up. I don't even read my own writing when I'm out there on the range. I had this one to warm up on, but I shot that one. Anyway, and then we have 41.6 with 2771 velocity, a 1.0 with the chrono on it. This was the worst out of the worst out of all of them, and a 0.75 with no chrono. And I do believe this flyer here was me, because right after I shot this, I said to myself, "Man, you kind of twitched a little bit there." So I have a feeling that this group would have been a good group as well. It probably would have been in the half to 0.375 range. But anyway, I wanted to just show you the results of the shooting. All these groups look great in my opinion. Again, just coming back to it, if we look at this 40.1, these are two excellent groups. So is the 40.4. Even the 40.7 here looks great. And then when we get up in here to the 41, it kind of opened up a little bit, but then it came right back together on the 41.3. All right, well, let's get into the spreadsheet analysis. And this is a spreadsheet with all 7 strings. Again, this is Reloder 16 with alpha brass and Hornady 140 grain ELDs. Now you can see that this first group, the 39 through the 40.4, really good. I mean, SDs down in the 3s, extreme spreads, really the 40.1 kind of jumped up there. But if you remember, the groupings on these looked really good. And the funny thing is the 40.1 grouping was a really nice grouping. Here's the problem I have with this. All of these velocities are under 2,700 feet per second. And I know for a fact that ELD-Ms like their velocities between 2,730 and 2,780 or 90. So this is really too slow from a velocity perspective for me. So that's why I probably won't go with these. And if you look at the graph, there's really no smoothing here. But anyway, that's one reason why I decided not to go with any of these loads. Well, with this next group, we're really getting somewhere. When we started at 40.7, you see good SDs and a decent ES. 41, another good SD, decent ES. 41.3, which is my current load with H4350, had a good SD, but not a good ES. I was really shocked at this. I was getting that velocity up around the 2750 where I like to see it. And you can see that from the shots, 40.7 had a really good no chrono group, that bottom one. 41 kind of opened up on us, as we said earlier. And then 41.3, I mean, look at the group with the chrono. That was a great group. And even though I only had 2 shots down below there, I still feel that this was one of the front runners for moving forward. So it's somewhere in here. And if we look at the chart, you can really start to see that leveling out with the 41.0 through the 41.3 area. So this looked like it was a really good ledge for us to take seriously. Well, and this leads us to the 41.6 load. Now, what's interesting here is, and what you're going to see, is that something just piqued my interest at 41.6. And I almost thought to myself, I didn't think I went high enough with the loads. So let's go back to the range with a whole new set of loads and see what we come up with. So I'm really not trying to chase higher velocities. I just wanted to make sure that within the velocity range for the ELD-M bullets, if I could get a little more granular on the powder, on the charge. So what I did was I started at 41.1, and I went in 0.2 increments. So remember, we had already shot 41.3 on the last test. So I went 41.1, 3, 5, 7, 9, 42.1, and then down to 43, or up to 43, or 42.3, I'm sorry, 42.3. So let's look at these real quick. I won't spend a lot of time on them. At 41.1, we saw average velocity 2737. Good groups. I mean, look at that. That is 3 shots right there. That's 0. 41.3, a little larger than the last test that I did last weekend. 41.5, we started to tighten up. Now, remember, again, this is with the chrono on the top, without the chrono on the bottom. And today was pretty chilly. It was in the mid 50s. So I may actually say that contributed a little bit to these wider spreads, and not because of the powder, but because of me. It was kind of cold out there and I was trying to stay warm. 41.7, 41.9, these look really good with the chrono, but it's funny, without the chrono, they opened up, which is kind of wild. And in 42.1, was pretty good groups as well. And then down at 42.3, this really kind of opened up. So plus the velocity down here was at 2800. I really didn't want to get up into the 2800 range. And let's look at the Excel spreadsheet analysis, because what we'll see is that this 41.5 to 41.9 really kind of seems to be the sweet spot when we start to look at the SDs and the ESs. Well, let's look at these lower loads here, 41.1, 0.3, and 0.5. The SDs and ESs just weren't there for me, and I really didn't see that much of a ledge. We did have something on the 0.3 to 0.5 range at 2753 to 2759. But again, when you look at the SDs and the ESs, even though SD on 0.5 was 4.9, which is good, the ESs just weren't there. So I moved on up to the 0.7 and 0.9 ranges. Now at the 0.7 and 0.9 ranges, 41.7, 41.9, we really start to see things tighten up here on the SD and the ESs. So look at that, 41.7, SD of 2.05 with an ES of 5. On the 0.9, an SD of 3.77 with an ES of 8. These are really, really good numbers. Now, when we go down to the average MOA at the very bottom of that list, we did come out with an average of 0.565. Not bad. And again, I think some of this was because it was a little chilly out there today. I probably wasn't shooting my best. Now, as I said before, at 42.1, things started to open up quite a bit with an SD of 10 and an ES of 24. They did tighten back up at 42.3 with an SD of 3.27 and an ES of 8. But one thing I didn't mention was when I got up to 42.3, because of the lower volumes of the alpha cases, I was actually starting to hear a little crunching of the powder, and I do not want to get into that territory. Now, as I said before, none of the brass showed signs of pressure, but I don't want to get into, having powder issues, crunching the powder and whatnot. So I probably won't be looking at any of these two loads, 42.1 or 42.3. So in conclusion, remember the whole purpose of this video was because I'm switching from H4350 to Reloder 16. So after all of these tests, I've decided I am going to load with 41.8 grains of Reloder 16. Now, I do want you to please pay attention to the disclaimer. Do not load your cartridges with this load. You must arrive at your own load values for your rifle, your brass, your primers, your bullets, and your powder. Please just use these videos as reference videos, and hopefully I'm kind of showing you just the process that I go through to arrive at these numbers. Well, I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, please click that little like button, and if you really liked it and you want to see more, please subscribe to my channel. I really appreciate it. Well, I hope this was educational for you, and I hope you learned something. And if you have anything to teach me, please put it in the comments and be nice. Have a good one, everybody. Thanks for watching, and shoot straight.